Today we're going to go over 3 simple tips that are going to help you improve every single one of your kicks. Okay, so tip number 1 is going to be to train your chambers. Now I know certain systems don't have a huge emphasis on chambering your kicks, and I get it, and I'm not saying that that's wrong. However, in systems such as Tae Kwon Do, there's a high emphasis because it helps you technically. I started in Tae Kwon Do back in the old school Tae Kwon Do days. What we would used to do is we would spend hours on end working nothing but chambers before we even initiated the full kick. This will help you to be more proficient. Okay, so for the sake of simplicity of this video, I'm only going to be highlighting 3 kicks. I'm going to be doing the front kick, I'm going to be doing the side kick, and I'm going to be doing the round kick. So when it comes to chambers, starting off in a basic fighting stance, my chamber for the front kick is I'm just going to bring my knee straight up. Okay. When I do this, the kick is only going to go as high as my knee goes. So the higher that I bring up this knee, the higher the kick's going to go. When I do this, I want to make sure that I keep it nice and tight in. If I let it fly out, A, they're going to see it, and B, I'm not going to have the power and the speed that I'm looking to train. So when I'm here, I want to make sure that I bring this knee up nice and tight for this chamber position. Now, we're not going into the full kick. Right now, we're just playing with the chamber. So I'm going to do a few on one leg, and then I'm going to switch, and I'm going to do a few on the other. So the chamber on the side kick is going to be a lot like the front kick, however, it's going to be from the side. So when I do this chamber, I want to bring my knee up. However, I'm bringing it more to where it turns my hip. If you notice, if you're standing in front of me, when I bring that knee up, I'm bringing it up towards my center line, and my hip is actually turning over. My back foot is also turning as well. I want to expose this hip because from here, the kick's going to go straight out and into my opponent. So from this angle, again, I'm bringing this knee up, and I'm turning my hip more towards my opponent. Okay, so for the round kick, again, the knee is going to lead the way. However, this is coming from the back leg, so I have to do a couple of things at the same time. From here, I want to be able to bring this hip all the way around. The only way that I could do that is to come up on the toe of that back foot and pivot around. Again, this kick is only going to go as high as my knee goes. So I want to make sure that whatever height I'm trying to kick at, that's where my knee is going to be at. Again, I want to make sure that I'm really tight, because if I'm really wide, again, they're going to see it, I'm going to lose speed, I'm going to lose power. So when you're training these, I would isolate the chamber specifically on your kick 20 times on each side before you start implementing the rest of the kick. Once you've done that and you go to implement the rest of the kick, I want you to put a high emphasis on the chamber, but I still want you to be able to throw the kick in one fluid motion. What I mean by that is when I'm here and I'm throwing this front kick, I still want to make sure that this chamber is on point. From here though, once I'm bringing this kick out, I want to make sure that it's one nice fluid motion. I wouldn't worry as much about speed and power when you're starting out. Right now I want to be technically sound. So as you've probably heard before, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So again, chamber to the kick. Same with the round. Chamber to the kick. Same with the side kick. Chamber and then kick. Okay, so for tip number 2, we're going to talk about staying in tight. Okay, so we touched on this aspect in tip number 1. The reason why we want to stay in tight is because it helps us with our speed, it helps us with not showcasing our intent to our opponent, and it makes the kick a lot easier to throw when it comes to balance and stuff like that. So what I mean by staying in tight, I see a lot of people throwing kicks and either they're pretty new to it so they don't realize, or they haven't been taught. But I'll see a lot of people throw kicks and they're really, really wide and they're off balance and the power's not where it should be and they're really slow when they throw it. Staying tight would alleviate all of these. So for the front kick, what I mean by staying in tight is when I do my chamber, I want to make sure that I'm as small as possible. If I make this big body motion, what it's going to do is it's going to shift my weight. Again, they're going to see it, and it's going to be very easy to intercept. I want to stay nice and tight as I go to throw that kick out. It allows me to be a lot faster and keep my balance. Same with the round kick. If I'm not as tight, this is a really, really big motion. And yeah, you may be able to gain some power since it's traveling from such a long distance. However, I'm gonna see it coming from a mile away. From here, again, from training that chamber, I wanna stay nice and tight here as I'm going to extend that kick. The tighter I am, the easier that travel is gonna be. Side kick, same thing. From here, I see a lot of just one big solid movements of this side kick. From here, I want to make sure that I'm nice and in tight. And then from this chamber position, I want to extend out and bring it back in tight. The goal and the idea of this is to alleviate as much movement as humanly possible. I want to cut down on the wasted movement. So when I'm here, if I'm making this big movement, you can see it. If I alleviate all of that wasted movement, all I have is being nice and tight. Another added benefit to staying in tight is that depending on who you're fighting, yes, they may see it. You may see this movement coming in. However, if you stay really nice and tight, they may not be able to tell exactly what kind of kick you're throwing. What I mean by that is from here, I can throw that front kick, but also from here, I can throw that round kick as well. It helps you to conceal your intention. So the last and final tip that we're going to talk about today is going to be penetration in your kicks. One simple note when it comes to penetration in kicks, whenever you're hitting at your opponent, it doesn't matter whether it's a punch or a kick, I don't want to hit right at the opponent. I want to hit about 4 inches behind the opponent. Bruce Lee was famous for saying this. So whenever I throw a kick, I don't want to stop the kick right at my opponent. I want to make sure that I kick all the way through my opponent. All right, so one of the things that's going to help you with this is getting a little bit more experience with your range when it comes to your opponent. Again, you only get that through experience, so having a training partner or having a bag or something like that really does help. So what I want to do is I want to start off close enough to where when I do extend this kick, I am able to go through this target. Now you notice that my partner is a little bit small and I'm not trying to kick her through the window. So I'm going to take it a little bit easier on her today, but hopefully you'll get the point. When I'm doing this front kick, I want to make sure that I don't just stop this kick right as I touch the pad. Right? Because I'm not really training my penetration for this. Thus, I'm not getting any power or anything like that. When I'm here, I want to start off close enough to where I can still touch about 4 inches behind my target. I want to remember that I am also working on my chamber. I also want to remember that I'm also staying in tight. So when I go to throw this front kick, I'm going to bring it in nice and tight, and I'm extending out 4 inches through the pad. From here, I'm going to bring it back. Same with the side kick. From here, again, I want to focus on my chamber. I also want to focus on staying in tight. But when I go to make contact, I'm going 4 inches behind my target. So from here, I'm going to do my chamber, and then I'm going to extend out. Again, 4 inches through my target. Same thing with the round kick. So she's going to turn sideways. Whenever I go to throw this kick, I want to make sure that I'm not just tapping it. Again, I'm going to stay in tight. I'm going to work on my chamber, and I'm going to go 4 inches through this target. Now again, I want you to remember that you don't have to do this as hard as you can starting out. You don't have to do this as fast as you can starting out. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You get the mechanics and you work on the technical mastery, and then you have your kick. Okay, so for the sake of simplicity of this video, I'm only going to be highlighting 3 kicks.